Getting along with Russia is a positive, not a negative. With that being said, if that doesn't work out, I'll be the worst enemy he's ever had.
Our president has invited Vladimir Putin to come to the White House.
The president understands what Russia did in our elections in 2016, and he has empowered each of us to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
President Trump undeterred by the amount of criticism that has come his way.
Nobody else did what I've done. Obama didn't do it. Obama was a patsy for Russia.
The NFL putting its national anthem policy on hold and saying they have come to a standstill agreement while discussions are ongoing. President Trump signing an executive order that could help create up to 500,000 jobs.
To continue this economic miracle, we must invest in job training.
And Whoopi Goldberg and Judge Jeanine Pirro had an exchange.
I've never seen anybody whip up such hate. Say goodbye.
All hell broke loose. I literally was thrown off the set, but it didn't end there.
We're not gonna take it anymore. There ain't no way we're losing. This is our life. This is our time. Don't take our destiny, 'cause you don't know much, you don't know. We're not gonna take it. Oh no, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. Oh, you're so condescending. No, it's never ending. We don't want another day with you. Your night is right treated, boring and confiscated, and that your best won't do. Whoa, sing it! We're right, we're free, we'll fight, you'll see.
Live from New York City, it is our All-American Summer Concert Series brought to you by our friends at Keurig. Today, he's not going to take it anymore. It's Dee Snider, who, as we saw a little while ago in the Keurig corner, before he went out, he had a couple of cups of Keurig coffee from the Keurig K-Cup Pod.
You got it.
That's a great song to segue into Judge Jeanine Pirro. We're going to get to her in just a segment to talk about what happened on The View.
She's right, she's free, and she'll fight.
That's right.
All right, but straight to a tough Fox News alert that we started with this morning. These powerful waves blamed for overturning a duck boat and sending it sinking to the bottom of a lake.
At least 11 people, including children, confirmed dead near Branson, Missouri. 6 of them are still missing.
What is the very latest? Todd Pirro joins us from the newsroom where they continue to search for survivors. Todd?
Steve, Ainsley, and Pete, such a tough story. Right now, rescue efforts expected to intensify after darkness put an end to the search for the 6 missing last night. We now know that number, 6 missing. That has just been confirmed. The deadly incident happened when a boat called Ride the Ducks capsized, then sank. A National Weather Service meteorologist saying the agency issued a severe thunderstorm warning for the area, with winds expected to reach 60 miles per hour. The Stone County Sheriff's Office just confirming, like I said, 6 still missing. 4 adults, 3 children were taken to the hospital. At least 2 of those individuals taken to the hospital are still in critical condition at this time. Witnesses describe the chaotic scene.
All of a sudden we see all the staff just running back and forth with life jackets and AEDs, just trying to do their best they can to try to figure out where this is. One of the workers actually went into the water, and also another a civilian, I believe, went into the water and helped bring him up.
A little background, if you're not familiar, duck boats, known for their ability to travel on land and water, have been involved in other deadly incidents, including one in Seattle back in 2015 when 5 college students were killed after a boat collided with a bus. Also one in 2016 in Boston when a duck boat ran over and killed a 28-year-old woman. Not to mention one in 1999 that killed 13 people when a boat sank near Hot Springs, Arkansas. Duck boats were originally used by the military back in World War II, but were later modified for use as sightseeing vehicles. And as for this latest incident, reports say there were life jackets on board. Back to you.
All right, Todd Pirro, thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd.
Tough stuff. All right, let's bring in Judge Jeanine Pirro. You already saw her, host of Justice with Judge Jeanine, and author of the new book, great new book, Liars, Leakers, and
That's right,
Trolls.
and she was over on The View yesterday to promote it. How did it go? Watch this.
I'm 62 years old. There have been a lot of people in office that I didn't agree with, but I have never, ever seen anything like this. I've never seen anybody whip up such hate. I've never seen anybody be so dismissive. Here's my question for you, because you talk about, I don't have Trump derangement. Let me tell you what I have.
Okay.
I have a lot of, I'm tired of people starting a conversation with Mexicans or liars and rapists.
Well, but you know
you
what's
said
horrible?
that
When people
it's
shouldn't
okay.
be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible?
What's
when,
horrible
when the president
is
of the United States
sanctuary
whips up
cities.
people to beat the hell out of people.
No.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye, and then on the other side of that timeout, Judge Jeanine was no longer in that chair. What happened?
Okay, so I'm invited to The View to talk about my new book, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, The Case Against the Anti-Trump Conspiracy. And, you know, the publisher said, you want to go to The View? I said, of course I'll go to The View. I like Whoopi. I like them. I mean, I have no problem talking about my book. So I go there, and, you know, the first segment was relatively calm. And, you know, I got the transcript. And one of the things I said was, one of the things we need now, we need people to talk to people who ostensibly hate each other. It's time we sat down and had a conversation. And Whoopi, you know, interrupted and said, now? Oh, I'm so glad. But anyway, that was almost prescient. The second segment, after some small talk, I mean, we had, you know, I was making small talk. I was, you know, happy to discuss my book. Right? And then we came back, and it was, you know, no holds barred. Whoopi got angry, and what the viewing audience, television audience, didn't see is that they popped up the cover of my book as she pushed off the desk, you know, unplugged her mic, and then stormed off the set. So I'm there saying, you know, I'm in television. I said, I don't think the segment's over, but I think she just left, Jeanine. I think it's over. So I take off my own mic, and then you have to go down the stairs. Mm-hmm. I go down the stairs, and she's right there. And I said something like, Whoopi, you know, I spent my whole life fighting for victims, because we had talked about rapes and all that. And she said to me, as she got up in my face, and I read somewhere someone said, well, you should have kept walking. I couldn't walk by her. She was at the bottom of the stairs. She says, F you, F you. And then I said, did you just say F you? And then she said, get the F out of this building, get the F out of this building. So I'm there, and I'm like, okay.
And you didn't do anything to provoke anybody there?
No, you can ask the people that I was with. I mean, she was nuts going off the set, and then when I walked down, and so as I started walking out the building, so this woman is yelling behind me, get the F out of this building. I mean, look, I've been a prosecutor, judge, DA for 30 years. I try murder cases. I can go toe-to-toe with anybody. But that was abuse. And it was sad. It was a sad moment that, you know, she was triggered. And I never understood triggering.
Did she reach out to you afterwards and apologize? I know she apologized to the audience.
She apologized to the audience, not for what she did to me. They had no idea what happened when I walked off this set.
You haven't heard from anyone from
a producer called, and yesterday it was nonstop radio and television. I was promoting the book. I haven't had a chance to return the call, but the producer did call.
You know, so, I mean, what is this? Just did they hate the president so much that you were the person, you've been a supporter of him, so they're coming at you?
Well, I certainly think that may be it. And, I tried to answer the question, just like you would answer the questions. And I said, it's another audience. It's the ability to at least talk about some of the good things that the president has done and the problems that I talk about in Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, which is the corruption at the highest levels of the Department of Justice and the FBI. And I have hundreds of footnotes in my book. It's an easy read. I mean, don't get scared by the footnote comment. But, I make it a clear, it's clear what happened. Read the book. They didn't want to know.
I got a question for you. They're watching this over at ABC right now. If you were to look into camera one, what would you say to Whoopi Goldberg right now?
I guess I would say to Whoopi, I've always liked you, Whoopi, and I don't understand where the anger comes from. I went to have a conversation, and I wasn't allowed to have a conversation, and I didn't deserve to be thrown out. We can't treat people like that. You just can't. We can disagree, but we need to be able to talk about it.
Dutch, have you ever thrown anyone off your set?
No.
When you ask someone to come on as a guest, I feel like you owe them the common courtesy, because a book tour is hard. You're going from place to place to place, and you're trying to speak to their audiences, and you're saying yes to invitations, and you have to make choices as to what shows you're going to go on. And for them to treat you that way, you're my family. I'm sorry that you were treated that way, and I think as a guest in someone's home,
that's
just
what
the
it
wrong
is.
way to treat someone.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
Yeah, you're invited into their home, and to be thrown off like that was disheartening. America is better than this. America is the place where you have free speech. But what happened yesterday was a microcosm of what's happening in the nation.
Yes.
And
shout down and shut down.
Yeah, we don't want to hear from you.
Yep.
All right. Once again, the book, brand new. It's what everybody's talking about. Leakers, Liars, and Liberals. Judge
Liars, leakers, and liberals.
Leakers, liars, and liberals.
Liars, leakers, and liberals.
On the card. Wrong on the sheet.
It is wrong on the card.
It's wrong on the card.
Not your fault.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the book. I'm sure it's going to do even better now.
Well, thank you.
Everyone go buy it.
All right. Meanwhile, 8:11 here in New York City, and Jillian is right behind the judge, and she's got the headline.
That's right. Good Friday morning. Let's start off with this. So far this week, 8 police officers have been shot. 2 of them shot on the job in Minnesota and rushed to the hospital. And now we're getting a listen to their desperate calls for help.
The shots have been fired. I am down. I've been hit. Left shoulder. Lead medic. Stage. He is not in custody at this time. He is constantly shooting at us with a shotgun. 27. He's outside. Shots fired. All rolling. Shots are still being fired.
The officers were following up on a call about a missing person when a man started shooting. One of the officers shot in the shoulder, the other in the leg. They are okay. The suspect, Dustin Bilderback, is behind bars and is expected to be charged with attempted murder. Powerful and unexpected tornadoes ripped through Iowa, leveling homes and sending debris flying through the air.
Oh, no. No. No, no, no. Oh, man.
Wow, look at that video. The storm's leaving a path of destruction in 3 cities. You can see a massive plume of water spewing out of this flattened home. At least 17 people hurt. And more incredible video showing the winds toppling this clock tower right on top of a courthouse. And now check this out. Another twister throwing cars around like toys and piling them on top of each other. Severe weather there. Let's look at your headlines. I'll send it back to you.
A wild weather day. Terrible. All right.
Thanks, Jeanine.
All right, well, do you make less than $15 an hour? Well, then guess what? You can call yourself a victim of violence. We are going to explain that somehow.
Got to hear that. And over the border and into the voting booth, it's happening right now in San Francisco. How does Geraldo Rivera think that's going to work? He's coming up.
Stay on the bus, stop your feet, stop clapping. Got a real good feeling, something bad about to happen. Keep coming, throw my head back left.
We have a Fox News alert and breaking news that we continue to follow out of Missouri. The death toll in that duck boat accident now at 13 people. 4 people are missing. Divers will head back into the water today to look for more victims or survivors. And take a look at this video showing the moments right before the boat flipped over and sank at Table Rock Lake in Missouri with more than 24 people on board. This is that video we're talking about. A nearby business showing just how rough the water was. 7 people were rushed to the hospital. hospital. At least 2 are in critical condition. There were life jackets on board the boat, and we will keep you updated with any new information that we get.
Terrible situation. All right. Jeanine, thank you very much.
Mother Nature, her wrath. Wow.
It was a couple of weeks ago that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stunned the political world and beat a longtime incumbent here in New York. And even though she's a socialist, some people have said she is the future of the party. And that's why when she said a couple of days ago that she thought the economy was moving along, but then again, people need 2 jobs to survive, that's stunning because that flies in the face of the actual data.
That's right. She stunned a lot of people with her stunning lack of knowledge about basics of capitalism and socialism. In an interview, that was one of her comments. Well, one of her soon-to-be colleagues, Elizabeth Warren, it's not double down, maybe quadruple down on that statement. Listen to what Elizabeth Warren said.
Double the number.
When people are working at minimum wage jobs that won't support them, or they're working 2, 3, or 4 jobs to try to pay the rent and keep food on the table, then simply saying the unemployment figures have gone down just doesn't get you there.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Tim Scott, the senator from the great state of South Carolina, joined us earlier, and he said this about that.
Bottom line is, anyone who wants to attack the Trump economy must find a way to do it in theater, because the reality of it is when you add 213,000 jobs just last month, unemployment is so low that the long-term unemployment are coming back to work, and we have a 45-year high in optimism from small businesses. The left is losing their mind. This is kind of fun to watch on TV because no one believes what they're saying. It's so far out of the realm of reality, we are in good shape.
Seems like every day, though, it's just a scare tactic. Even if it's not factual, even if it's not right, let's scare our base into voting for us. I mean, it's even, just look at ICE. They kept saying, let's abolish ICE, let's abolish ICE. Well, they had a chance to do that. Congress got a vote, and they could abolish ICE, and they didn't do it. So it's just scare tactics.
That's right. And, you know, what folks need are the skills for a lot of these jobs that companies cannot fill. Right. I mean, because the economy is so good.
Well, there are more jobs than there are people. Those are the facts.
Mm-hmm. All right. We just have one job. It's this.
Coming up, forget the Bible, apparently. Now the Air Force is using a generic book of faith for a very solemn tribute.
How does that work? And over the border and into the voting booth, it's happening in San Francisco. So what does Geraldo think? You might not like it, but then again, that's a regular Geraldo segment, he says.
Chances are you're going to like this, though. Here's Dee Snider from Twisted Sister performing American Made.
Good Friday morning to you and welcome back. Some news by the numbers now. First, 500. That's how many Somalis that the Trump administration is allowing to stay in the U.S. without fear of deportation. They do not have to return to the war-torn country until at least March of 2020. Next, $15. If you get paid less than that, MoveOn.org considers it violence. In a tweet, the political group says employers knowingly let people suffer by issuing low wages. And finally, $443,000. That's how much it'll cost you to fly around like Iron Man in a jet suit like the one worn by Tony Stark. You can see, look at that. Yeah, that's now on sale in a London department store. It clocks in at a top speed of 32 miles an hour and can reach up to 12,000 feet. Included in the price, flying lessons. I don't know. It sounds like a good way to avoid traffic, guys.
We need to get Brian one of those. Remember Brian did that in one of the segments?
Awesome. Jetpacks. I've always wanted to do that.
Really? It would be fun.
$400,000.
We got a good weekend ahead of us.
It'd be cheaper if we just tried it once. You don't have to buy the whole suit. All right. The media all week long in meltdown mode over that Helsinki summit.
It's just as serious to me as the Cuban Missile Crisis in terms of an attack or the 9/11 attack.
What we saw yesterday was collusion, witting or unwitting, in the president's words and attitudes toward Putin.
You had a one-word reaction to what you saw yesterday. Treason.
Treason, yeah.
Treason. Well, has the media overblown the meeting just a little bit? And where do we go from here? Here to weigh in is Fox News correspondent at large and the author of The Geraldo Show, Geraldo Rivera, our good friend. Geraldo, good morning.
Good morning, Geraldo.
Hi, Pete.
How you doing? Well, what do you make of this last week? I mean, we talk to you on Fridays, sometimes on the weekends. You've watched this week closely. What do you make of how everyone's reacted?
Well, you saw what happened between Whoopi Goldberg and our own Judge Jeanine Pirro at the top of the hour. There is such deep hatred of this president. There is such disquiet. There is such a divide in this country. There is such unbridled passion that even people who normally can have a reasonable discussion just go overboard. The case in point, and the most vivid example, isn't what happened on The View. It's these charges that the President of the United States was somehow guilty of treason because he listened sympathetically to the other side, to what President Putin of Russia was saying. I think it was absolutely overblown. I think that it was hysterical. It bordered on hysterical. You can say it was sad. You could say it was disgraceful. You could say, how dare the president miss this opportunity to scold Putin in public for the alleged hacking of our elections. But to go off the way they did on the president of the United States and anybody who agrees with him, I think that is reflected in our everyday life. I think it has infected public discourse. I think it's affected our jobs. It's affected the way the public perceives us. I think that Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah, you can't compare that to 9/11 or the Cuban Missile Crisis. We want to talk to you about another topic, too. San Francisco is now registering non-citizens to go and cast ballots in their local elections. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that in a philosophical way, I believe that all parents, and many, many parents of undocumented or illegal immigrants are citizen children, or even if they're not, they are a resident in the United States, and the Supreme Court has said there is an obligation from public education to educate these children, even if they are in the country without proper documentation or illegally. So I understand the motive of what the People's Republic of San Francisco is trying to do. It seems to me, though, just as an attorney, that, you know, the law in California is pretty clear. You've got to be a citizen of the United States to vote. You've got to be a resident of the state of California. You've got to be 18 years old. You've got to be not in jail for a felony or on parole for a felony, and you can't be deemed mentally incompetent. You know, I can't see with those laws how you squeeze legality into people voting who aren't citizens of the United States or running for the Board of Supervisors. They are doing it. I think this is also part of Trump derangement syndrome, if I may, Steve. This is trying to screw the big man, screw the federal government. Not only are our law enforcement not going to cooperate with ICE in terms of enforcement and removal, we're going to go a step further and we're going to allow the undocumented to vote. I think that this is the seminal issue of the midterm elections. I really do believe that this schism will be how people jump one side or the other come November.
Screw the average guy who did it the right way, by the playbook. It's amazing, and I think you're exactly right. 2018 midterms will be
we will see how it works out in California, and if that's just the tip of the iceberg. Geraldo, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Okay, Steve. Thank you.
You bet. All right, speaking of California, take a look at this video. Yes, those people are burning an American flag. What Maxine Waters has to do with that, we'll explain coming up next.
And bosses all across the country saying, you're hired. So what does Ivanka Trump have to do with that? She joins us next to explain.
But first, here is Dee Snider with You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. That is a fact.
You can't stop rock and roll. You can't stop rock and roll. Can't stop rock and roll.
Today, 23 companies and associations are pledging to expand apprenticeships. That's an interesting word for me to be saying, right? The apprentice. I never actually put that together until just now. That was a good experience, I will tell you that. Isn't that strange, Ivanka? I never associated, but here we are. Can't get away from that word. It's a great word. For on-the-job training and vocational education.
Okay, so the president was looking over to his special advisor, his daughter Ivanka, and Ivanka Trump joins us right now from our nation's capital. Good morning to you, Ivanka.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so
Pleasure to be on.
We know it's an apprenticeship program. What else is what the president signed yesterday?
Well, we're incredibly excited, and this is the culmination of a lot of hard work. So the president signed an executive order establishing the National Council for the American Worker, which is comprised of U.S. government officials who think holistically about skills training and education for workers at all stages in their career. So traditionally, the government's only focused on education for those younger than the age of 25. But in a rapidly changing digital economy, we know that while we're not the best at training workers, that will leave to industry and the states. There's a lot of data we have that can at least enable people to make better decisions around education, where the jobs are located, what jobs are vacant. But I think one of the exciting things about that announcement is it was a real call to action to the private sector. So in addition to announcing this U.S. Government Council, we also created a pledge to America's workers. And this was something that was started yesterday. Over close to 4 million jobs were agreed to in that room yesterday afternoon. And these are companies. Walmart agreed to 1 million enhanced career opportunities. FedEx, 500,000. We had some of the largest trade associations, and this is going to keep rolling in the days and weeks to come. And what they're committed to is in such an incredibly robust environment where business optimism is so high, they want to ensure that they have skilled employees. So they're reaching into the high schools and saying, we're going to train you for jobs that we have vacant because of the roaring economy, but they're also going to look at their own workforces and say, based on automation, based on the rapid changes from a technological perspective, there is going to be disruption. And we're going to take some of our mid to late career workers and we're going to reskill them and we're going to give them new and better opportunities within our companies to do other jobs. So it is a really exciting initiative. It's a bold initiative. But 3.8 million jobs were committed to yesterday by the private sector with no government funding. So it is really exciting. And we're going to take this pledge. We're going to bring it around the country. After the announcement, Apple subsequently said that they wanted to sign the Pledge to America's Worker. Boeing signed for an additional 100,000 job opportunities for America's workers. Oracle came out yesterday evening after the announcement. So hopefully this continues to grow. And really it is a call to action for business, large and small. This is what Americans care about. This is why so many people went to the polls to vote for your dad. If you don't have a job, you're stressed out. You can't feed your family. You can't put your kids into college. We want a better life for our kids. And by doing this, so many people are getting their foot in the door. If you get your foot in the door at Walmart, you can work your way up. You can become a manager. You can work at the corporate office one day. But so many people, they don't have a chance to just get their foot in the door. And once you're in, that's right, the skills. So this is why is this so important to you?
And it's not just about securing a job, it's about creating a career for everyone. One of the CEOs who signed the pledge from UPS, he had started out loading trucks at UPS, and he's now running the company. And he signed the pledge to commit to create pathways for other UPS employees to do exactly the same. So it really is just a tremendous opportunity. And in an economy this strong, we have the chance to bring people who have been marginalized, who have been on the sidelines, bring them back into the workforce and allow them to secure family-sustaining jobs. So it's such a unique opportunity. The president yesterday mentioned those who have been in prison, served their time, and re-entered society. We know, empirically, we know from the data, if they have a job, our communities are safer, they're less likely to fall back into the crime cycle and wind up incarcerated again if they can secure a job, and they become some of the greatest workers if they're given that second chance. So people who would have otherwise been overlooked, had unemployment been higher, are now getting those opportunities. But also, and I really do think it's important thinking about our mid to late career workers who are looking to learn a new skill and learn a new trade and investing in those people.
Some of those people in the mid to late career stages, they've given up because there aren't any jobs out there. historically.
But in
over the
Trump's
last few years.
economy, we're seeing that change.
Mhm.
So a robust economy is so good for the American worker in several ways. One of the ways is we're seeing wage rises. So wages have been stagnant for the last decade. They've been rising at the fastest clip in many, many years. So we're starting to see that change. But it also means that people are re-entering the workforce. So last month alone, in June, 600,000 workers entered or re-entered the workforce. So that is incredibly exciting. People are coming off the sidelines and looking for a job and putting their hat back in the ring. And we want to encourage that. And we want to make sure that companies and trade associations are stepping up to the plate and giving them the skills we need. And I think for our younger workers, for decades, we've said that there's one path to a great career, and that's going through four-year college. But that's not true. We know that's not true. And there are other paths. And so while college is a great option for many people, and we don't want to discourage that, there are other pathways that lead to tremendous opportunities, and we want to give equal significance to those and promote those,
And of course,
such as apprenticeship and vocational education.
And our economy badly needs those skill sets, which is what
We
you
do.
are addressing. Ivanka Trump, thank you very much for this effort and for joining us this morning.
Yeah,
and thank you to all those companies that are signing that pledge
Yeah,
for
very
the
cool.
American worker.
And she said, no government money. That's music to my ears.
All right, 20 minutes before the top of the hour, and Jillian joins us right now.
It's Friday. That's music to my ears.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Good Friday morning. Okay, we have some breaking news. We're just getting this video in. This is a Fox News alert. And you're looking live at Manatee River, Florida, just south of Tampa, where at this very moment, as you can see, rescue crews are racing to pull that dangling tractor trailer back over the ledge and onto I-75. The driver reportedly lost control, sending the semi careening over the edge. No word if anyone was hurt, but we do know the driver made it out safely. But look at those images. That is incredible. A petition to revoke the Trump International Hotel's liquor license is gaining support. A D.C. Advisory Neighborhood Commission standing behind that petition because the law says licensees should be people of good moral character. They feel the president doesn't meet that qualification.
The owner of the Trump International Hotel doesn't meet that definition, and so ABRA, the Alcohol Beverage Regulatory Administration, should take action. Is this a political stunt? No, I don't think so.
Turns out the Trump Hotel is not in the jurisdiction of that neighborhood commission, but ABRA says any civic group can file a complaint against a licensee. An Air Force base is replacing a Bible with a generic book of faith in memorial honoring prisoners of war and missing soldiers. The commander of the F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming, agreeing to make the changes to this ceremonial remembrance table. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation calls it Christian supremacy and says nearly 40 people at the base filed complaints about it. The table is a long-standing tradition that was started after the Vietnam War. A really terrible display outside the office of Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters in Los Angeles. The American flag up in flames and being stomped on. Demonstrators there shouting, "America was never great." It was supposed to be a counter-protest against a far-right group, but that group never showed up. Send it back to you guys. We lost one.
We did lose
Where'd
one,
Steve go?
but he's got, you know what? That's a tease. He's got something special coming up that
Do you
you're not
remember
going to
that
want to
segment,
miss.
Deuce on the Loose?
Oh, no.
It's coming up.
Well, he's not here. He's loose somewhere.
First, we sent Janice outside as well.
Oh,
and she
hi.
has the weather for us. Hey.
Hi! Are you guys ready to be on television? Yeah! Oh my God! Hi, what's your name? Where are you from?
Daniel. My name's Daniel, and I'm from Staten Island.
And what about you?
What?
Where are you from?
Buffalo.
And what about you?
My name's Steve, and I live in New Jersey.
Oh my gosh, you look really familiar. Let's take a look at the maps real quick because you know what? We had severe weather yesterday. I just want to cover that because we could see the potential for severe weather today again across the same areas, across the Midwest. So just be aware, know what to do if there's a watch or a warning in your area. Be safe. It's also going to be hot because it's summertime. All right, do you like Dee Snider or did your dad bring you?
My dad brought me here.
But you love him now, right?
Yes.
Do you guys love Dee Snider? Oh my gosh, because they're coming up right now. Yes!
Coming up in a minute.
Oh, in a minute.
In the meantime, let's go back inside the studio.
Oh, thanks for coming.
You bet. All right. Pete?
I love it when she asks, where are you from?
Huh? What?
What? Kids, you can't script them. Coming up, the media is melting down over President Trump's meeting with Putin. Welcome back. Couple of quick headlines for you here. A big win for gun rights. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals blocking a law that would ban high-capacity magazines in California. It forces people who own those magazines to hand them over to the state, otherwise known as confiscation, sell it to an arms dealer, or give it to police. It was supposed to go into effect last July, but it's currently being challenged. And this second story, the Trump administration is looking to roll back regulations for species facing extinction. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and NOAA announcing changes to the Endangered Species Act. The proposal would limit the areas that can be designated as critical habitats and alter the kinds of protections that threatened species receive.
Well, we have seen the media meltdown all week long over President Trump's meeting in Helsinki with President Putin.
We sure have. But what do everyday Americans think? We sent the deuce on the loose, and he's talking to some folks.
I'm in front of the building, and I'm talking to some folks who are here for the Dee Snider concert. What's your name?
Matt Capshaw.
Matt, you just heard them talk about what we're talking about, the media reaction to President Trump and President Putin's meeting in Helsinki on Monday. What do you think about the tone of the rhetoric being used?
I think it's a little bit overreaction. I think they need to let the man do his job.
Are you saying that the president's comments were not as bad as 9/11 or Pearl Harbor?
I don't think they're that bad. No, sir.
What concerns you the most about the summit they had?
Nothing really concerns me about it. I think the president needs to do his job. I think the president needs to be able to do whatever he needs to do to protect the country.
All right, very good. What's your name, sir?
Craig.
Craig, where are you from?
I'm Richmond Hill, Georgia, right outside of Savannah.
Okay, very good. What do you make of the rhetoric regarding the president's superpower summit in Helsinki?
I just think mainly the liberal media is just blowing everything way out of proportion. They look for any opportunity they can to just kind of get him.
Why is that?
They don't like him. They're scared of him more so, I think.
All right. What's your name?
Tom Brose.
Tom, same question. What do you think about the hyperbolic news coming out?
But it's just way over the top. I mean, have we become a country where a man can't make a mistake, correct it, and we're still attacking him?
So you believe that he misspoke?
Definitely. I mean, if he didn't misspoke or whatever, he corrected whatever he said. I believe he misspoke. I believe he corrected his actions. Let the man lead. This is definitely the media backing the Democratic Party and liberals trying to put forth an agenda. It's just not going to work. Get the economy going, get my kids jobs, and now we're talking.
Oh, now that's what he wants. He wants his kids to get jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I got 4 of them.
He's got 4. He needs 4 jobs right over here. All right, guys, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, very good. Are you ready for the big show? Dee Snider is going to rock our stage with his brand new single coming up next live from New York City. There he is with Janice.